Welcome back, everybody, to the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. I am Chris Witt. With me, as always, is my cousin Adam Schmidt. Adam, how are you today, sir?
I'm very cold, but I'm good.
It's
Very
chilly
good.
out there, man. I wasn't expecting it to be as chilly as it is.
It's snowing.
Yesterday,
It's snowing right now.
So I was I went out of town on business last night. It was 56 degrees when I left on Tuesday.
Yep.
So I just brought a jacket, and it was 24 degrees in Columbus and snowing all day today, and
Yep.
it sucked.
It was one of those transitions that Cincinnati, I feel like, is known for. It can be 56, and 3 hours later it can be 24.
Yep, that's exactly right. So yeah, that's a kind of a bummer, and it sucked, but it is what it is, and here we are now. We're here. We're in the basement.
We're inside.
We're inside the studio. Studio Nosebleeds.
Sure.
If you're checking us out on Facebook Live, we appreciate you guys chiming in, coming in. We'll try to keep an eye on the feed. If you got any questions or want to throw anything out at us that way, go ahead and do it. Chances are we probably won't see as much as we should, but we'll give it our best shot to keep an eye on that. We got a lot of stuff to do today, man.
We do. And something just came to mind
Oh, yeah?
when you were deciding on the spot a name for the studio.
Yeah?
I feel like we should have a poll and let the fans vote on what the name of our studio should be called.
I like that.
What do you think?
I'm down for that. Let's
Just off the top of whatever, we'll come up with some options and we'll throw them out there, and you can vote. Or if you have just whatever off the top of your head, you want to throw them out to us at any point, throw them out to us, and if we like one, we'll go with it.
I'm good with that.
Something like that.
I like that. Yeah,
We'll just the idea of coming up with a name.
basically,
for the studio.
if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Podcast, iTunes,
Facebook.
Castbox, Facebook, whatever you're listening to, comment on when you're listening right now. Comment on what the studio should be called.
Yep.
And we'll give it 2 weeks. 2 weeks. If we only get one comment, then that's what the studio is going to be called. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'll let everybody throw some out there. If there's multiple, in 2 weeks we'll bring it on and
And then we'll vote.
we'll vote. That gives everybody that didn't listen the first week a chance to catch up.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm down for that.
All right.
All right, so everybody, like I said, we got a lot of stuff to go through today. So before we get into it, Adam, what the printer's going on?
It is. Are we
almost-
receiving our first fax?
I think we are getting our first
We're-
in studio fax.
It is the first vote by fax for what the name of the studio is going to be called.
I didn't even put my fax number out there, man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let's see what it says. Sensi Studio.
Nice.
There you go.
All right.
I have the only computer in the house here too, so I'm a little confused on how this is happening.
Okay.
So we got national championship. The college football national championship went down.
It did.
That was a game nobody saw coming.
Mm-mm.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game. I mean, it was a blowout, but it's fun to watch a team that's thought to be a dynasty or unstoppable, not just get beat, but get beat down. We'll get into that. NFL playoffs, obviously. We're in the second round of the NFL playoffs. We're going to get into our big three in the NBA. And then we've got a little something special coming out. Adam put it out there on Twitter earlier that we are going to be unveiling our both our newest tournament, which will be on Facebook poll, and it's best NBA nicknames.
Yes. I'm very excited about that. I think it's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be fun too. And there's so many good nicknames that we have to let you know. We'll get into what went into to deciding
Yeah.
what made
That was
the
tough.
cut. We did
Real
16. We had about 22 or something like that. We got it down to 16. So there you go. All right, so let's start off. National championship. Dabo Sweeney comes in and knocks off Nick Saban for the second time.
Yes. Although neither one of them actually played in the game. But yes,
It was
I
their
know what you
teams. It's their teams. It's their teams. That's so Clemson beats, and it was so it's 5.5 point spread. They won by was it 20?
44-16.
So there you go,
So
28.
28. Yeah.
So an absolute demolishing. And I'm going to tell you, everybody is talking about this Trevor Lawrence kid, and I mean he played phenomenally. He's a true freshman. Tua Tagovailoa. Honestly, he threw that pick six, and he came right back with and threw a touchdown. I mean, he looked good. He looked okay. I like Trevor Lawrence, but he's not what stood out to me in this game.
Okay. What did?
It was Clemson's defense.
Absolutely.
That was Clemson's defense won that game. I mean, Trevor Lawrence had a great game and he played well as a true freshman, but that defense won the game. And I mean that was what took on. That's what did it for him, in my point of view.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was really impressive, the defense. Quickly talking about, you mentioned Trevor Lawrence, who was, one of the most highly regarded, recruited high school quarterbacks ever coming out just last year. So he was, he threw for 347 yards, 3 touchdowns. Their 3 top performers on offense, freshmen. Trevor Lawrence is a freshman. Their running back, Travis Etienne, sophomore.
Yep.
Justin Ross, their wide receiver,
who is from Alabama. He was the number 1 wide receiver that came out last year, a true freshman out of Alabama. Just going to show you that this Clemson team, what he's doing at Clemson. I bet if you went out and talked to 100 random people on the street, 30 people would know what state Clemson was in.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. I agree with you. And that's incredible, because there's no better recruiter than Nick Saban, right?
So you're meant to believe, and all you've heard over the last 3 years is how Clemson and Dabo Swinney is trying to build an Alabama-like team. To your point,
very nearly have.
I think they have. They proved yesterday they've got the defense, which Alabama's always been known for, and they have offense.
Yep.
They've got the best quarterback that came out last year. I mean, it's insane to think, but we have 2 dynasties in college football, if you ask me. I mean, these guys have faced each other the last 4 years.
Yeah.
3 national championships and 1 in the playoffs. It was the first round of the playoff instead of national championship, but 4 straight years.
And you gotta think those are going to be the 2 teams that start out 1 and 2 next year in the first polls.
Both their quarterbacks are coming back, and they have half of Clemson's defense will be back.
The 2 top tacklers for Clemson in that game, both sophomores, both coming back.
Yeah, Isaiah Simmons, and was that AJ Terrell?
Right?
Yeah, the cornerback.
Right.
So I mean, I'm excited. We've talked about it before. We're not the biggest football guys. I enjoy. I love the NFL. I'm a huge Bengals fan. You are Bengals fan. I don't have a college football team. I'm Xavier, obviously. Big ups to Xavier. Huge win today. Comeback down 17. Big win for Xavier against Georgetown. Patrick Ewing is cursed against Xavier. Poor guy.
Your favorite childhood basketball player coaching against your favorite college team tonight.
As long as we beat him, I don't care. I still get that. And I get to see him. He's really close, and I say,
I got to see Patrick Ewing.
Exactly. And he's got the biggest wingspan of anyone I've ever seen.
They
have a play where he holds his hands out like this, and straight out like from like the Michael Jordan holding the 2 basketballs poster. That he holds his hands out like that, and it went across like almost the entire bench.
I saw him. He scratched Travis Steele's back actually when he did that.
And they were both behind the coaches' lines.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, so we got off on a little.
Sorry. So anyway, national championship.
National championship. So yeah, Clemson dominated that game. Look, if that it was really surprising. I'm one of those people that would have put all of my money on Alabama if I was betting on that game ahead of time. So it surprised me for sure. Clemson is right there. Now, Clemson, like we said, has built this dynasty. They're just about right there with Alabama, and they're really young. They're coming back with a lot of guys, and I'm sure one of the top recruiting classes too. I'm sure whatever they're going to be missing, and two of their juniors on defense that had very good games in that game announced today that they're entering the NFL draft.
Sure.
That was Trayvon Mullen and Trey Lamar. But they're going to fill those guys' spots. I mean, there are guys.
They've got guys on their bench right now that can do it. I mean, their best defensive tackle didn't play; he was suspended, and they fill in the blank. The next guy up, right? So,
which is why Alabama's so good, because they don't rebuild. They reload every year. Yeah. So now here's the thing. So we said all that. For me, it still feels like Alabama is a tiny step above them.
Really?
It just feels.
So what makes you feel that way? Especially after they're 500 against each other over the last 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
They're both 2-2. They just came out the most recent game and won by 28, an absolute butt whooping.
So yeah, head to head, it looks pretty even right now, right? Exactly what you just said.
I think Clemson looks like they're ahead.
Overall, it seems pretty even to me that way. Overall, though, entire body of work versus everybody else, it still feels like Alabama has been the more dominant team for the last, and it's been 10 years.
Because it's been longer. I'll give you that. Because the dominance has been longer.
And
but
even in the last,
Clemson has been dominant for 4 years.
They have, but
Alabama has been dominant for 4 years.
To reach on their way up to reaching toward being as dominant as Alabama. Okay, maybe they have. But Alabama has just maybe it is just the longevity for me. But
to me that's the only thing that they have above Clemson at this point in time is just the.
I feel like they've beaten more good teams more handily than Clemson has. You know what I mean? Just throughout the course. And look, I don't have both of those teams' schedules and the results in my head.
Right.
I don't, but it feels like that, at least to me, that for the last
you're
10
coming up,
years.
You're pulling the SEC card, is what you're doing. You're saying they're in the SEC, they're playing better competition.
Not even necessarily.
Because if you get outside of SEC play, Alabama plays one team every year. It's usually the first game of the year, whoever they play, like Oklahoma last year or who. But that's it. And then they play a ton of rum-dums, and then they get into the SEC.
I think most of the major programs do that because of the money involved, because they get paid.
Not as much anymore since they switched this whole deal up to where, it's not there's a group of people voting on it. They want you to play a better offseason, non-conference schedule. So that's part of it. I mean,
it kind of feels like those two teams, whether it's the ACC or the SEC, it's your conference games are going to, offer, your conference is going to offer some really tough games. I think that's going to be enough that you can still schedule cupcakes, and you're going to have some wins on there that, they're going to look like really good wins.
You're always going to have the cupcakes. You're
right. Yeah. Those, and then your conference still offers. So either conference to me, you're still going to get some really good games that you're going to have an opportunity to beat really good teams, and that's going to be enough. As long as you take care of business, as long as you play in one of those major conferences and you don't lose, you're going to make it.
With that point, let me ask you one thing before we get done with this.
Okay.
4 teams make it to the playoffs in the NCAA College Football Championship. Are you a proponent of 8 teams, or are you good with the 4 deal? Are you a 6 guy where 2 teams get a bye or something? I mean, where do you stand with that?
I don't think it would hurt anything to play 8. I mean, you always have that 5th team, 6th team even, that are on the border that maybe they, and especially whenever they go play their game, they don't make it in the top 4, but they go play their bowl against another really good team and they win that game. They feel like, okay, we should have gotten an opportunity.
I still feel like the best team has won over the last. Is this the 4th year that they've done this?
Yeah,
I feel like that until the best team doesn't win, then you can start going, okay, so there's a little more parity. Let's bring somebody else in here. But it's the best 2 teams in it every year.
But you still have the opportunity. It's not that, I mean,
I feel like
happened
the opportunity
that way.
is gained during the season. And, in college football, it sucks, but you lose a game.
Well, but you have enough one-loss teams that you have one-loss teams that get in and one-loss teams that don't, and they're both borderline 4 or 5 or whatever, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
where you can. If I'm the fifth team, and I don't make it, and you're a team that has the same amount of losses as I do and a similar resume, I'm making a case against you. I'm making a case for me instead of you. And if you bring it up to 8, you have more teams, then you're going to have 9 and 10 being like, wait a minute, we should get an opportunity. But it's always going to be.
It's
that
always,
way.
no matter what happens, that next team's always going to say that they we got gypped. Somebody's always going to get gypped. It's always going to happen. Leave it. I say leave it at 4. If you want to go to 6, then I'm okay with 6 and play like a let the top 2, 1 and 2 have a bye. Basically, you're going to have to start these games earlier. Like Joe Leonard was saying, start them right after the conference title game. You'd have to. If you did 8 teams, you'd have to start it way earlier.
You don't need to. It's great to have time to heal and everything. You don't need to wait a month.
It's
to play.
6 weeks.
Yeah, a month and a half. Right. There's no reason to do that. Yeah, exactly. I agree with that for sure.
So all right. So I think that's enough college football for us. I'm not. I'm good with college football if you're good with it.
I am too.
All right.
Let's move on to the NFL.
So let's go on to our next favorite topic to go over on the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. If you listen to our podcast, you know that we are baseball and basketball guys. But the NFL is what's going on right now. The playoffs are here.
The playoffs, yep.
And I'm going to tell you what, it was an interesting week last week.
It was. So we made our predictions going into the wild card weekend. It was I made it easy to remember who I picked because I just picked all the home teams.
All the home teams.
I legitimately thought they would probably win. Although I thought the Chargers would have the best chance to beat the Ravens in Baltimore, and they ended up doing that. I did pick the Ravens just to go with the home teams, but so I was in fact 1-3 in that prediction. 1 out of 4.
So good on you.
Teams. Terrible on me, but
so how did I do?
I don't know. What were your picks? Did you write them down?
No, I didn't write them down. I took the Colts. I think I got 3 games. I hit 3 games.
I think you did too.
Because I took 2. I went 2 home teams and 2 non-home teams. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We're not making any bets. I'm done making bets on this podcast.
Yeah. No bets.
No bets. Chris, I need a break from bets. I haven't won a bet against Adam yet.
I'm still
in the first
mulling.
year. We are in season 2, year 2 of the Nosebleed Sports Podcast. Hard to believe, but we're in year 2, and
the second year,
the second
week 30
nominal year,
whatever.
Yeah, the second nominal year. But anyway, I'm not my 2019 New Year's resolution. Only make bets I think I can win. Not I think I win. That I know I can win. Because I think I can win every bet.
I'm still mulling over what your fantasy basketball team's name is going to be. I'm going to come up with something very soon, I promise.
That's fine. You notice I'm not pushing you for it.
I know. You haven't mentioned it at all since the end of that competition.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. So let's go over real quick. The Colts beat the Texans 21-7.
Yep.
Right? You took the Colts in that game?
Yes.
The Cowboys beat the Seahawks 24-22. You took, I think you said Dallas, right? Was that the one?
No, I took Dallas in that one.
Okay. So the Chargers beat the Ravens 23-17. And you took the Chargers, I think, right? Then the Eagles-Bears game. That was
where I took the Bears. I took the Bears in that game.
Bears.
I thought the Bears would win that game.
And I did too.
How about Nick Foles? 2 years in a row, you're sitting behind a guy who is thought to be the savior of this franchise. And he goes down 2 years in a row, and you go on a phenomenal run. Like this, the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl again. It's going to be back-to-back years. Their starting quarterback both years is not going to be the quarterback that won the Super Bowl.
Isn't that weird?
It's just
that's crazy.
It boggles my mind.
I think most people overlook the importance of having a good backup quarterback too, and that kind of proves like it's important.
Pay that man.
That's important. Yeah.
Pay him.
Okay, so the big story in that Eagles-Bears game, though, was Cody Parkey missing the 43-yard field goal.
Have you seen some of these Bears fans on YouTube and all these things that these people are crazy.
Yeah.
Like the Bears haven't been in the playoffs in 8 years, and all of a sudden, like Cody Parkey's the worst person in the world.
Well, sports fans are awful people in general. So so that's just the way it is. I'm sorry. You can be upset with me if you're listening to that and you don't like it. I'm a sports fan. Sports fans in general, a lot of them are terrible people who are blinded by just stupid
they're probably
patriotism.
they're probably good people, but fans is short for fanatic. And a lot of them are fanatics over their team. In their life, the sport is a way to get away from your everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are probably good people. But when they get away from their everyday life and they get a chance to be a fanatic.
That doesn't mean you're allowed to get away from being a good person.
I agree.
So don't send people death threats. Don't curse the guy out on Twitter or whatever. You don't even have to boo him. Why boo him as he's running off the field? Now, that guy, Cody Parkey, handled that, missing that kick better than, as well as anybody could possibly handle it.
No doubt.
He walked around and shook people's hands after the game. Good game. People that they were showing on Twitter how he, even after missing and losing the game, he pointed to the sky like he always does when he makes one. He thanked God for the opportunity or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's impressive. People don't think about that.
Yeah.
So he answered all the questions. It's the worst feeling in the world. I let my teammates down. It's all on me. I feel terrible. That's what you want to hear a guy do, is take responsibility for that.
Right.
It did come out though that it was tipped. Some people are calling it blocked. It was tipped, but
still, though, a tip is going to, on a kick is going to completely.
I'm sure it altered the trajectory of the ball. It was crazy because he missed 8 field goals and 3 extra points throughout the season, and like 4 or 5 of those 11 misses hit the upright, which is weird.
Wow. Yeah.
This kick apparently was tipped, hit the upright, then hit the crossbar and bounced out. I mean, that's as close as a kick gets. You never see it hit twice.
No, it happens
once in a
while.
while.
The big thing about it to me is, I just feel bad for the kid. Like, he's getting death threats over missing a field goal. I understand. Listen, Bears fans, obviously you're Chicago, the home of Al Capone and all that garbage.
I don't care.
But still, I'm just with you. He did it right. I like the kid, and the kid is handling it well. He's a good kicker.
Except for the 12 misses on the season now,
Yeah.
and kicking them out of the playoffs.
Man, ouch. He did though. That's what he did.
No, that's an exaggeration.
I would hate to. I'm going to tell you the worst gig in the NFL. People say the best gig is like backup quarterback. Because all you do is hold a clipboard all day. You don't have to worry about getting hurt.
If you have
Unless
3
you're Nick
quarterbacks,
Foles,
if you're a third-string quarterback,
third
that's
string's
even
definitely
better.
the best. Yeah, but you're not getting as much money.
Right.
Second-string quarterbacks now are getting big bucks, and to not do anything. So anyway, unless you're Nick Foles, poor Carson Wentz. First off, how'd you like to be Carson Wentz? That's gotta suck.
I would love to be Carson Wentz.
Well,
Are you kidding me?
Yes, I'd love to, but I mean, as a competitor,
yeah.
You lead a team and you are the man of that team. You're the leader of the team, and you cannot be with that team. Well, you can with them, but you cannot lead them in the playoffs. That's
at that position
sucks.
at quarterback with that responsibility. And
Yeah.
Yep. I understand. Yep.
So. What was I? Oh, I was. What was I? Oh, the worst as a kicker. That has got to be the absolute worst gig out there. Because if you make every field goal that you kick, then you're just the kicker. You're supposed to do that. You know what I mean? He's a kicker. He's not even. He's not even really part of the team. Like you get that all the time. Like kickers aren't even part of the team, and they get crapped on all the time. And then if you miss, you lost the game for the team.
Yeah.
So I'm either don't mean anything at all, or I lost the game.
Yeah,
There's no you can kick a game-winning field goal, and it's all about how they made the drive to get there.
Yeah.
Unless you kick like a 60-yard or something. But it's like, oh my God, Andy Dalton makes an incredible 2-minute drive. Him and AJ Green connect 4 times to go 60 yards, and I don't even know who our kicker is anymore. Whoever.
Oh, the Bengals kicker?
Yeah.
Jim Breach.
There you go. Jim Breach kicks a 40-yard field goal to win the game, and nobody cares about the kicker. It's just that's a tough gig, man. I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want to be a kicker. I got nothing. There's no part of me that would ever want to be a kicker in the NFL.
I would love to be a kicker in the NFL. I mean, you play a total of like what? You play a total of maybe like 10 seconds in the game.
You got to
And you-
wear
and
the
you
same
score-
same tight uniform that all these super
Who ha-
good-looking, muscular giants like you might be like 5'9", 170 and
Right.
like in great shape when you're at home with your family, and you look like a pipsqueak out there. So everybody just knows you as that little turd.
Yeah, you look like Adam Schmidt in a football uniform.
There you go. Or if you're Sebastian Janikowski, then you look like me in a football uniform.
I was gonna say you just look like a drunk slob in a football
That's right.
uniform.
That's right.
No,
He poor guy pulled his hamstring during the playoffs, kicking a field goal the other day.
Sebastian Janikowski is 376 years old, and he's my favorite kicker of all time,
Sebastian Janikowski.
behind Jim Breach.
So when he was at, was it Florida State or Penn State? Where was he at? Florida State.
Florida
He was
State.
at Florida State. When he was at Florida State, I had a college football game for the original PlayStation. I think it was original PlayStation. Anyway, I was always Florida State because, it didn't say Janikowski or any of that, but, it was basically the likeness of everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And the kicker on Florida State was bigger than everybody else on the team. So I'd
And he
be
could
him.
kick 65-yard field
So
goals.
I'd be him, kick it off, and I wouldn't switch off of him. I'd just be him and run down and just blow people
Just
up.
tackle 'em. That's funny. That's the punter from was he the punter? The punter from Penn State, I think.
Yeah,
He was enormous.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So that was a crazy end to that game. What's funny too is he made the kick the first time, and they called timeout right as they were snapping the ball. Gave him the timeout, so that kick didn't count. They had to re-kick it. He missed that one. So he made it. He made the kick.
Yeah.
And then nope, sorry, they called timeout
Yeah.
on purpose to ice him exactly.
Sure, yeah.
And it's crazy that it worked. Although it was tipped.
It was
I have
tipped.
no idea
It was
how
just-
much that counted or whatever, but if the kick didn't go in, the Bears are done.
So what do we got coming up this week?
This week, the Indianapolis Colts are at the Kansas City Chiefs. Who you liking that?
Oh, man, I tell you what. I'm going to tell you right now that the Colts are. Don't overlook this Colts team, man. They are good.
Yeah.
They are. They've got a good defense. Andrew Luck is slinging it better than he's ever slung it in his life.
Mhm.
And but it's the Chiefs. These Chiefs just got that. They've got the
MVP.
They've got probably two MVPs. I mean, maybe not two of them, but Kareem Hunt is gone. But you still got Tyreek Hill. You got Mahomes.
Mahomes,
Pat Mahomes. Mahomes. I don't know why I keep saying that. Anyway, so it's hard. I'm doing it. I'm taking the Colts.
Wow! Holy cow!
Taking the Colts.
I'm just gonna be safe and take the.
I know
Kansas
what
City
you're going to do.
Chiefs.
So
You
somebody
know
on this
exactly.
podcast has got to do something crazy.
Yep. Dallas Cowboys are at the Los Angeles Rams. Who do you like there?
I am going to take the Cowboys.
Okay, I'm gonna take the Rams.
Oh, the Rams have been on not a downward slide, but they just haven't looked that great lately. And
And the Cowboys have.
And the Cowboys
They're
have looked
hot.
really good. Their defense is looking good. It's going to come down to Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley goes off, Rams win. Todd Gurley is under 100 yards. I say Dallas wins. I'm taking Dallas.
Okay. Who you like better, Todd Gurley or Ezekiel Elliott?
Ezekiel Elliott.
Wow. Okay.
I just like his abs.
Oh, okay.
You ever seen that
That's
dude
nice.
always walking?
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
always got a cut off shirt on.
'Cause he
He's
cut-
always
yeah.
got a mid-cut shirt.
Yeah, guys in good shape.
So when I played football, for 4 years that I played football in grade school,
Mm-hmm.
always wore a cut off shirt at the midsection. That was the cool thing to do. back
There you
then.
go. Nice.
Yeah.
Back in 1971. The LA Chargers are at the New England.
I look way better than him though.
You did. You sure did. Still do. The LA Chargers are at the New England Patriots.
I'm taking the Chargers.
I feel like that's going to be the popular pick. I'm going to take New England because it's the playoffs.
Because it's
and
New
Brady
England, it's
and
playoffs. Mr. Safe over here.
Mr. Safe.
All right.
That's right.
Last but not least.
Philadelphia Eagles, after that win against the Bears, are at the New Orleans Saints. Or if you're a person that calls it New Orleans.
Or
Nolans or New Orleans.
The New Orleans.
Or-
I feel like if you said New Orleans in New Orleans, they would probably
murdered.
they'd probably murder you.
Yeah. You should be.
Or at least attempt to. I don't know.
So Eagles.
But you're probably
Saints.
going to tell me
This is going to be yeah, yeah. That's very good Cajun. The
I think that I want to look it up and find out, but I'm pretty sure that the running back for Clemson is Cajun. He got up on the mic after the game, and I was having trouble understanding him.
yeah, I love listening to those people talk.
So awesome.
This is
Swipe left, swipe right. Cajuns.
Swipe. You know what? Swipe right to Cajun people and Cajun seasoning on food.
100%. I agree. Swipe right.
This, I predict, is going to be the one game that you pick the home team, New Orleans Saints.
You're right. I'm taking New Orleans, and I like the story behind this Nick Foles thing. It really interests me for some reason, but New Orleans that's my team. They've been my other team for years.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees is
He's a mainstay. He's so
Drew
solid.
Brees is my favorite NFL player,
Nice. Okay.
and has been probably for 10 years.
Wow.
I
Very
love Drew Brees. So
He's a likable guy.
he's a likable guy. He's got a really weird mud spot that he just never decides he ever wants to wash off.
Muds.
I feel like he must always get sacked at the same way that in mud jumps up and splashes him on the face.
Weird, isn't it?
Just on that one
On that
upper
exact
cheek.
spot. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how that's.
It's almost like a birthmark or
What a
something.
coincidence. Nah, I doubt that. So even though it failed me last week, I'm taking all home teams again.
Imagine that.
You are taking 3 out of the 4
Road
away teams.
Ooh.
Yeah, road teams.
Man, that could be rough. But we'll find out.
Hey, it worked last week.
It did.
I mean,
It did.
all right.
So there you go. That's the
all I've
NFL.
got.
That's all we've got for the NFL.
Football's over. If you don't
Football-
like anything else, it's time to turn it off. No, please don't turn it off. We've
Don't
got
turn
a lot
it
of
off.
other good
That's
stuff.
right. So as promised, we've got a lot of fans of the Nosebleed Sports podcast, a lot of followers, a lot of people that listen every week. We appreciate everybody that does. Some love the NBA, some could care less. So instead of talking about crazy NBA for for the whole show, we decide to have this segment be called the Big Three. So we just go over the big 3 stories in the NBA, and let's get it kicked off, man. Start off number 1.
Number 1 was going to be this Jimmy Butler saga, the 15th one of his career. But Alex Cole just told us that
Luke Kennard
Luke
sighting.
Kennard sighting in L.A. So maybe that's the first one.
There you go.
That'll be one. That'll be number 1 of the big 3.
It's got to be. I mean, that's
check
a
out-
hometown guy, right? Middletown. He was a Middletown midi, wasn't he?
No. He was.
No,
Franklin. I
Franklin.
think?
He was Franklin. Yeah, right 10 minutes away.
Yeah.
I knew it was up north somewhere.
It's up north. Yeah, Ohio guy.
Unbelievable shooter. Unbelievable high school player. I mean, obviously he was a great
He was. Yeah.
college player, but that kid was. Was he Mr. Basketball in Ohio?
I think he was.
That's what I thought.
So check out the box score from their game tonight. The Pistons Lakers, I guess, or is it the Clippers? I didn't even look at
I'm
what
not
game
sure.
that is. But anyway, Luke Kennard sighting. Check it out. Now, Jimmy Butler. Okay,
Guarding Lonzo.
he had.
So he's guarding Lonzo,
Oh,
which would
okay.
put him.
So that means you can play about 6 feet off, all right, and guard the drive because you can let him shoot all day long.
I let him
So
take
guard the
that
drive.
goofy left-handed cross your body shot.
Yeah, it's
For a guy
the
who-
funny thing is it's a left-handed shot with the right hand
Yeah.
because he doesn't shoot left-handed. He shoots right-handed, but he shoots it from the left side of his body.
Maybe that's why I think he's left-handed, because he shoots it from over there. So if you watch basketball players, just in general, think back to your buddies in grade school. Think back to if you played in high school, if you knew somebody in high school, college players, NBA guys. Sean Marion was left-handed, I believe.
No, I think he was right-handed.
Oh well,
Just
then
very
he's just another awkward guy.
unorthodox.
But I got a buddy who he's a lefty, and the weirdest, you talk about squaring your feet up, and he turns his body completely sideways when he shoots.
He does.
I feel like lefties always shoot weird. And now that Lonzo Ball, I just find out, is not left-handed, now I'm just making fun of Mike Little.
Man, some of my favorite players to watch are lefties, though. I always say it. You got Manu
James
Ginobili, James Harden, Joe Ingles. Those guys are fun, man.
I was 1 for 3 on lefties.
1 for 3 on lefties.
1 for 3. Yeah.
Wh-
Lonzo Ball,
Sean Marion.
Sean Marion.
We'll
Watch
double check those. I
watch
might not be right.
Watch a
but I
basketball
don't
game,
think so.
Chris. Watch a basketball game
No.
sometimes.
There-
You're going to
those
talk
gu-
about it. Know
Look,
what you're talking
A
about.
lot of lefties look unorthodox, and those guys are righties that look unorthodox. I totally get it.
So, yeah, there you go.
All right, so moving in. So Jimmy Butler was unhappy when he left Chicago. He was
Threw a fit.
He was unhappy when he left the Timberwolves. Threw a fit. He got on with the 76ers.
Gets transplanted into an unbelievable spot where you are in a top 3 in your conference team.
Yep. And that was a lot of people were saying, okay, that might have been the move that got them over the top. Now they're going to beat the Celtics, beat the Raptors, whoever, and get to play the in your opinion Lakers, in my opinion Warriors, in
We'll see.
the finals. But
Depends on how much wine LeBron drinks while he's hurt.
and speaking of wine, Jimmy Butler had a lot to whine about in a film session when he aggressively approached Brett Brown,
Head coach.
reportedly, about his role in the offense and about the offense in general. He's unhappy, imagine that, about what's going on there with the offense. He doesn't feel like he's being used correctly. Some people agree with him. Either way, the report is that he kind of not went at Brett Brown, but addressed him aggressively and by some accounts disrespectfully in the way that he approached that conversation with Brett Brown.
I believe that. I feel like Jimmy Butler's making a name for himself in that kind of aspect. That's just who the guy is becoming. And at this point in time, people have probably known it for years in the NBA, but it's just becoming more official in everybody else's eyes now. And when he does this, and Brett Brown did it right, he said there's no beef. The way he came at me, the way that we are used to, or whatever he said, but he made it so it was no big deal. It's a big deal. The dude just wants more isolation. That's what he wants. He wants more isolation for himself. And what happens? Chicago started to suck.
Yes.
He's unhappy, he leaves.
Mhm.
Timberwolves suck. He's unhappy, he leaves.
Well, they were decent actually.
They were
but
decent, but
he was just unhappy with his teammates.
well, I'm saying
and
this,
with the coach
this,
and the front
this
office.
Detroit team has been on a little bit of a slide, and they haven't been playing the best basketball lately. So what does he do? Now all of a sudden he's pissed off again. Like, come on, man, be a team, be a teammate, and let's work together.
And they're not even in that bad. They're
not. I'm not saying they're in bad shape or they're going
Yeah.
anywhere. They just hit a little slide. I think they lost 3 out of 6 games. I think it was like 3 out of 6 games, and that's a little bit of a slide for a team who started off hotter than a firecracker.
But they were still something like 16-8 or something since the trade. I mean,
Right.
And that's including a slide. So it seems like I used to be a fan of Jimmy Butler, the person and the player. I saw an interview early on in his career in Chicago, and I was like, man, this guy's a really good dude and stuff. And then he did the sock monkey, the sock monkey commercial for the NBA,
Yeah.
part of the whatever that commercial was. He was kind of becoming one of the faces of the NBA because he's a great two-way, maybe the second best two-way player behind Kawhi. But one of the best players in the league. And,
Yeah.
and he helps. He does help any team he's on. He makes a team better for sure. But he's becoming one of those guys that are,
he seems to be one of the guys that you think of as, maybe cancer is the wrong word,
I was just going to say
but
that.
like a cancer in a locker room. Maybe not somebody who tears a locker room completely apart, but when he enters into it, he's a little polarizing because he's that kind of player, and he's very good, and he's gonna play, and he speaks his mind, and sometimes that can people. There's a lot of guys in a locker room that are quiet guys or that are role players, and they see that and they get annoyed by stuff like that. And,
Absolutely.
and that's what I feel like is going to continue to happen with him. I mean, look, when he left Minnesota, they went on like a 3-game winning streak, and everybody was like, "Yeah,
They
this
were
might
really
have been
good for a
They were
while,
like,
yeah.
"Yeah, maybe this was a really good thing."
Right. There's when things go south at all, he becomes a malcontent. And I think maybe that's the word instead of cancer is malcontent. He just and then he has the ability to bring people down because he's supposed to be one of the leaders. Usually your best players are kind of looked at to be leaders. They're not all like that, but he should be. If he's
Right.
going to have such a big voice on a team and he's going to have such a big role, you got to, be a little bit of an example. at least learn how to communicate better. Learn how to handle your aggression. Learn how to handle when things don't go right. One of my favorite things, Chris Mack said.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Mack said, the definition of a front runner. When things are going great, you're a great winner. You're happy. You're supporting teammates and stuff like that.
Yep.
When things aren't going right for you, and you shut down. You start feeling sorry for yourself. That's the definition of a front runner right there. When things aren't going right for you, so now your whole attitude changes. You're not gonna that you don't respond well to it.
Exactly.
That's a big deal.
And everybody will love you when you're winning, and then you start losing a little bit, or you start getting annoyed, and it's gonna happen again. He's gonna just be a guy. He's gonna be a really good player that ends up playing for like 6 different teams.
Probably, and I feel like something's gonna happen in the playoffs because they're gonna still be thought of as a potential contender to win the East. Even no matter how this season ends up, because they're still going to be a good team, but they'll get in the playoffs, and if they lose in the first round or even the second round, if they don't make the conference finals, that it's going to be okay. Jimmy Butler is probably gone because his contract's up.
His contract's up
he's
anyway.
He's a free agent,
right?
Yeah, so he's gonna, and if they don't win, he's probably going to go somewhere anyway. But I'm sure they would like to re-sign him. Elton Brand's already said, sure, of course we would like to re-sign him. We'd like to bring him back. But I don't think they're going to do that, especially after this already.
Especially after all this stuff is going down after he's only been there for a month.
They're going to have to hold off and see what happens the rest of the year. If things go well, if he gets along with everybody and everything, and they do well, they at least make the conference finals. Maybe they even win it. Probably not, but maybe. Then, everybody's happy enough where they can bring him back. But we'll see. Anyway.
Swipe left, swipe right, Jimmy Butler.
Well, after all that, swipe left on his attitude, swipe right on his game.
I'm good with that. Swipe right on the game. All right, so big three, number two.
Number two, I've got one was Luke Kennard, 1A was Jimmy Butler. Number two, Tom Thibodeau. The Timberwolves. Speaking of the Timberwolves,
can I tell you, Tom, real quick?
Yeah.
Tom Thibodeau is a funny guy.
He is a pretty funny guy.
He was
not on purpose all the time, but
no, he was on the Dan Le Batard show the other day. Him and Stan Van Gundy were on at the same time, and they were doing pop trivia, like popular trivia, pop culture trivia. Oh my God. Funniest thing I've ever listened to in my life. And those two were going at each other, too. It was hilarious. You didn't know that? Oh, my gosh. So, anyway, besides the point.
Tom Thibodeau seems like one of those grumpy guys, like kind of the old school kind of coach where he's gonna be tough on you. He's going to yell. He always looks unhappy. That's not my favorite thing about him. He's got a gravelly voice, right.
Probably smoked 10 packs of cigarettes a day when he was younger.
It seems like it. But he's
on the Juul now.
He's on the Juul because he can't afford cigarettes now because he's out of a job.
Lost his job.
The Timberwolves finally in a very oddly timed firing after they beat the Lakers by like 22 points one night. They brought him in and said, "Great win, coach. We're all done with you."
Yeah.
Apparently this is a while coming. He's lost guys. Obviously he lost Jimmy Butler.
Right, Jimmy Butler. The locker room itself had been lost.
And he had trouble again like he did in Chicago, unfortunately. Ended up having a little trouble with some of the front office people. He's just kind of, I guess that goes along with being just a little bit of a grumpy guy, I guess.
He is. He's
a great that's part of, I think, what makes him a great basketball coach, though.
Yeah. He doesn't take shit.
He
from
doesn't.
Anybody.
He doesn't, and
it's his way. He's the coach. He's running the team. It's his way. And if you're the general manager, who is my boss, who is the boss, well, it's still my team, and I'm running it my way. Don't tell me what to do.
And that's why he was also president of basketball operations there,
right.
Because he took that job because he was given that power. That's what he wanted.
Right.
So he was removed from both of those roles. So he is no longer employed with the Timberwolves. But stemming off of that, a very cool story came. So legendary Timberwolves coach Flip Saunders, coach, president of basketball operations, general manager, part owner, Flip Saunders held every position with the Minnesota Timberwolves over a span of 15 or 20 years or whatever it was. And he was beloved. The players, the other people he worked with in the front office, his coaches, everybody. I mean, he's a very well respected guy in NBA circles, and past 4 years ago, I believe it was. 4 years ago, I think maybe right before he passed in 2014, his son Ryan joined his staff as an assistant coach.
Right.
So for 4 years, Ryan Saunders has been an assistant coach. So Tom Thibodeau kept him on when he took over the job. Ryan Saunders is now the interim head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. He is 32 years old.
32 years old. So can I say this? I'm just going to go out on a limb. The Minnesota Timberwolves are to the NBA like the Cincinnati Reds are to Major League Baseball. If you're beloved by the Cincinnati Reds, they're just going to keep you around and bring Tony Perez in as a coach, and then bring his son in as a coach. Bring Edward. They'll do everything, because you're loved and you're the great. Everybody loved you. And you're just their owner's probably some big Minnesota homer, and if he deserved it and worked for it, then I'm good with it. But 4 years as an assistant, 32 years old, I feel like they could make a better. But maybe off this, because it's an interim, right?
He's an interim head coach. He's not going to be the head coach going forward.
So they just took somebody off the staff. So I'm good with it. I like it. I think it's pretty cool.
I'm excited about it, mostly for the story, and it's an honor to Flip Saunders. I don't know that they're going to bring anybody in the middle of the season that's going to drastically change them for the better anyway. Maybe this guy, apparently for the last 4 years, he's a young guy who has built relationships, who's gotten close with some of these core guys, with Towns, with Wiggins. Wiggins and he are pretty close from what I understand. And as a matter of fact, he came into the locker like they were, the guys. So his debut the other night, he got a win in his head coaching debut at 32 years old. Got a win against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are one of the top 3 teams in the league right now. So he got a win in his first night against a good team. They really showered him with love after that thing. They showered him with water actually when he walked in, into the locker room. But they were, everybody was hugging him and everybody was, patting him on the back and all excited for him as they were walking off the court and when the buzzer went off. So just a really cool story. Also really cool here. He ran his dad's favorite play first play of the game.
That's
the
cool.
Other night.
That's cool.
Ran his dad's favorite play. It didn't work out the way it was supposed to, but they got a bucket out of it.
Pick and roll, Karl-Anthony Towns, or what is it?
No, it was. I'm not even sure what it's designed to do, but it was supposed to be. It was almost like a double screen for Towns to come underneath into the low post. And, of course, like he and a lot of other big guys do, they don't stop at the low post. They come all the way out to the three-point line and catch the ball. They come all the way out to the three-point line, post up at the three-point line, and then catch the ball at the three-point line and then have to do something.
That's my favorite spot. So for any big man, I feel like the best spot, if you're going to post up, I feel like the best spot is right at the three-point line.
Yeah, well, because most big guys just shoot the three now anyway.
But that's true.
Towns is a guy that he should be able to use. He should have enough post moves and stuff that he should be able to score inside. He should be stopping on the block, especially if he has a mismatch. Anyway, they did get a bucket. Andrew Wiggins had to take like a long two, pressured. It was a bad shot, honestly, but it went in. So anyway, but it was just a cool story that he ran his dad's favorite play to start the game. And then he got the win. Just an awesome story.
I'm interested to know how many players in the NBA are older than him.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of them.
I mean, because he's 32.
Mm-hmm.
LeBron's 34.
Yep.
There's still quite a few people. So that would put
Dwayne Wade, Vince Carter,
Dwayne
Dirk
Wade,
Nowitzki.
Exactly.
Vince Carter?
No.
Karl-Anthony Towns?
No, I was going to say Karl-Anthony Towns,
Oh.
but I meant to say Carmelo.
Carmelo Anthony, if
it
he's
can come out of
considered
my mouth. I
an
can still
active player.
consider him. He played this year.
Chris Paul, I think, is older than he is.
Chris Paul.
Older.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of guys.
That's insane.
A
That's
lot of
just
guys.
crazy.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Yep.
Good for you,
Ryan.
Little Flip Saunders.
Ryan
Can we call him Lil Flip?
If you want
Is
to.
there
That
a
sounds
rapper?
Like,
is there
like
a SoundCloud rapper out there somewhere named Lil Flip?
I'm sure of it.
There's a Lil Pump and a Lil Wayne. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's a Lil Flip. if there's a little flip and you're listening to this, I'm gonna hashtag you and whatever.
I don't even want to get into rapper names right now.
I don't want to get into hashtags, so let's go.
Number 3 of the big 3 NBA stories. Something really cool. I just saw this right before I came over here, so it must have just come out like late this afternoon. The NBA, Twitter, and TNT have partnered to stream a special cam during 20 designated NBA games this season. So how it's going to work
Let's hear it.
is at NBA on TNT on Twitter, at NBA on TNT. During the first half of these games, of these 20 specific games that they've not announced yet, but the first one,
Okay.
the first one is going to be during the All-Star game.
Okay, real quick
Go.
before we do this, thanks to Alex Cole. So there is a little flip, and he is older than Ryan Saunders. Apparently, he sings some Game Over song.
It sounds familiar, kind of, but I don't know. Anyway,
What up, little flip? Yo, little
thanks for keeping it young for us, Alex.
We need somebody to do it for us.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, so before I interrupted you, we have a new camera that can be voted at. It's going to be 20 select second half of the season NBA games. This is pretty cool.
So the first one is going to be the All-Star game, February 17th. So during the first half of the All-Star game, you go to the Twitter account at NBA on TNT. You will vote for which player you want to see a camera for the entire second half of that game stay solely on that player.
It's an ISO cam.
It's an ISO cam. So starting with the All-Star game and then 19 other games that they will announce.
How many times can I vote? Can I just
imagine
copy and
endlessly. I
paste
don't know.
LeBron James and then just start pounding the computer until it does it like a million times?
Here's the
Can
thing.
you get on Twitter on a computer, or does it have to be the app?
You can get on the computer.
I
It's
don't know.
twitter.com.
I don't know.
It was a website before it was an app, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. All right, there you go.
All right. Anyway, boy,
Pretty bad.
you
Listen,
are
I'm
you,
an old
you
man.
are
dude.
not keeping it young
No,
here, boys.
I'm not keeping it.
Alex, will you explain to this guy how Twitter works? Anyway, I'm just kidding. So yes, during the first half of these games, you vote on which player you want to see the ISO cam on for the entire second half. As long as he is in the game, that camera. So of course it's going to be the stars. You know it's going to be the.
It'll
superstars.
always be the stars every game. And I don't know. I feel like there could be some times where, it's going to have to be stars. They're going to have to give you some options, right? Because, if everybody says like they want J.P. Macura on the Hornets to be the ISO cam, or I go on and do something, are they just going to put it on him on the bench?
No. So if you're on the bench or you foul out or whatever, the camera goes to a wide shot of the whole game from behind the backboard, behind one of the backboards.
Let me tell you, that is the worst camera ever. I had to watch a Xavier game that way. No, it was just the game and like squeaks of feet, and it switched from the back of the backboard camera on each side, whichever way they were going.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible, worst thing I've ever had to watch in my life.
It's really cool when there's a play at the rim and it's like, and they use that camera and play the slow motion and stuff. That's cool.
If you have to watch, hands up there.
If you have to watch a streaming game,
yeah, it would suck.
It's no good.
So this is going to be
Anyway.
pretty cool though, because you're going to be able to, and I would have to say that with it. So they're going to have a commentator on this as well, right?
Yes.
Specifically designated for this ISO cam. So you're just going to have a guy constantly talking about James Harden for an entire second half.
Wouldn't that be awesome to hear Tom Thibodeau as the commentator
Oh my
on a Timberwolves Sixers game where Jimmy Butler is the ISO guy.
And he is forced to commentate on Jimmy Butler for an entire half? That would be so great. It'll never happen because Tom Thibodeau would quit Turner Sports or wherever he would have to work with. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it.
I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be really cool,
Yeah, it will be.
especially for this reason. So you have to watch a game very specifically. When people talk about how good or bad players are defensively in the NBA, Like James Harden, built himself a reputation for being a horrible defensive player.
Yep.
Mostly because of effort. Okay. So you can watch, and now people are saying, look, he's playing his best defense of his career now because he's trying a little bit, right? So now you get the opportunity without having the distraction of the ball. Now you can just watch this ISO cam where you can watch James Harden every single defensive possession, just what he's doing. You can see if he's in help position. You can see how he's guarding the ball. You can see if he loses it, if he just turns his back on his man and stares at the ball and his man cuts back door like you've seen so many times on YouTube. So things like that, little details that I like to watch those things, but I get so distracted so easily by everything else going on the floor and coaches and the girls in the first row or whatever
you're watching.
Yeah, right. Whatever you're watching in the game, the referees. I like to see I really like to watch the referee interactions with everybody more than the girls in the first row. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff I think you're going to get to see that you don't normally really pay attention to. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and to that same effect, I'm more excited to see guys, and I agree with Alex out there, a guy like Klay Thompson on this ISO cam where you can or Steph Curry or somebody that just is constantly moving on the floor nonstop. Like I would have loved to have watched Reggie Miller on this.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it just constant running off screen after screen. I mean, I bet you could sit there and watch him go off 5 screens, 6 screens in the span of 5 seconds.
and let me transition that into for the big 3, we had 1A, 2. That was 3, the ISO cam. 3A to finish up the big three is, thank you, Alex, for reminding me. Last night, Klay Thompson scored 43 points and dribbled the ball 4 times in the game.
Klay Thompson is my all-time favorite for this reason. Every time he drops 50 or whatever he does, the one time he dropped 50, he dribbled the ball 9 times. Another time he dribbled it 11 times. He dropped 43, dribbled the ball 4 times. That is insane.
The amount of dribbles and the amount of time that he has the ball in his hands. There were a couple times where he dropped 45 or 50
and had the ball for 20 seconds or something.
Exactly, for the entire game.
So
impressive.
To put that into what's the word I'm looking? I'm terrible at words. Perspective. To put that into a perspective, turn on any basketball game at any time, and as soon as that game comes on, whoever's dribbling the ball, see how long it takes them to dribble the ball 4 times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That span of 2 seconds that you just watched, that is how many times Klay Thompson dribbled the ball in an entire game and scored 43 points. Unbelievable.
It's so impressive. That guy is the most efficient shooter, maybe not necessarily field goal percentage-wise, but just like catching and shooting, just being so.
He's efficient with the ball. He's quick with the ball.
Such a quick release. Oh my gosh, such a quick.
The only one quicker than him is on his team. Steph Curry
probably Steph. Yeah,
he's the only one I know that has a quicker release,
and might not even have a quicker release.
Ooh,
I don't know,
man. That's Steph Curry. That ball's at his hip, and then it's perfect form.
That's the thing. It starts at his hip. It starts at Klay Thompson's chest,
every
basically.
Time, yeah.
I mean, it's such an efficient movement from catching the ball to getting it off. It's such a small amount of motion. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun to watch.
All right, so from there, let's get into this. All right, the new Nosebleed Sports Podcast tournament is going down. We're about an hour into this podcast, so we're going to flip through this thing pretty quick. So here we go. I'm going to tell you, we've been off on the polls for about 3 weeks now. We finished up the worst hair in the NBA. We're still in the heart of the NBA season. So we are going to go with another NBA poll. I'm really excited about this. Best nicknames in NBA history.
Yes. This is going to be fun.
So now to qualify this, there are some really good nicknames out there. The White Mamba, the Black Mamba, all the different Mambas that are out there. But we decided, I'm actually
Mo Bamba.
I can't even, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not a big fan of the Mamba nickname, but what I'm a fan of is that what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of different people out there with some really good nicknames. Not all of them made this list. Some of them were on our questionable list. However, there's some really good nicknames that didn't even make that because we're really looking at guys that were you had to be a pretty good player. All right, you had to be pretty good, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody on this list
Is a Hall of
was
Famer,
at-
right?
No, not a Hall of Famer. Because our number 15 seed is not a Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah.
Everybody else might be. I mean, there are a couple current players. Actually, one current player, I think. Yeah, we only have one current player.
There is, so he wouldn't be. All right, so let's go through this. So here, I'm gonna go. We're gonna go through. I'm gonna let Adam go through and give you. We're gonna go over everybody that's in it, and then we are going to go back and forth, and we're gonna seed them.
So we're gonna start with the 1 seed, or do you want to start with the 16 seed?
Let's start with the 16th. No, let's start with the 1 seed. Start with the 1 seed.
Okay, number 1 seed. I'm saying the Dream, Hakeem the Dream
Hakeem.
Olajuwon.
All right. So then I will take the number 2 seed, and I'm gonna take Irvin Magic Johnson.
Yep, Magic Johnson. He had the nickname Irvin. I don't know why.
I don't know
don't
why they
understand.
called him Irvin, but I feel like that was a suitable nickname. Is Mookie as in Mookie Blaylock? Is that his real name?
No, I don't think it is.
So
Oh,
he's like Magic because everybody just called him Magic Johnson.
You know
so
what?
Mookie might have been a good one. Mookie didn't make the list. I'm just
Muggsy
gonna
Bogues,
say it. Muggsy Bogues.
Spud Webb.
Oh man,
I
there's
mean,
so many.
So many guys
Good
whose
night.
first name you would think is their first name because
Is
their
actually
nickname caught on so
Magic
well.
Johnson. All right, number 3,
Number 3, I have the Worm.
Dennis Rodman. That's I'm excited. The Worm is probably one of the nicknames we talked about this the other day when we were doing this. The Worm is a nickname that I have no idea how he got it or why he got it, but if I had to pick a spirit animal for Dennis Rodman, it would be a worm.
It would be a worm. I don't know if I would pick a. I don't
or
know if I
a
would pick the worm.
unicorn, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever
He's definitely a unicorn.
whatever the oddest animal is.
All right, so
Number 4.
Who was that? Number 3, number 4. All right, so number 4, I'm gonna go with the 4 seed, my man Larry Legend, Hick from French Lick. We're probably gonna put both of them on there. It'll be Hick from French Lick and Larry Legend.
We considered putting him on twice.
That was the other thing. If your name is in your nickname, you didn't get considered for
You didn't
this.
like that. You did not.
I'm
like
not a
that
big
rule.
fan of that. Like I feel like you just because your name's Shaq, you can't just say Shaq this, Shaqka this.
That's his real name, though. It's just a
That's what I-
shortened version.
No, but that's what I mean. Every nickname had Shaq in it. Well, not all of them.
Yeah,
Big Diesel,
the
Daddy,
Big
yeah,
Aristotle and stuff like
and I
But we
Anyway.
didn't use him. We didn't use those because he
gave it.
made-
And that was the other.
yeah.
That was the other one. You can't give yourself the nickname.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Shaq, I love you. You're one of my favorite people of all time, and I know you're listening now. We appreciate all the comments you've been hitting us up with and all the retweets. Thank you, Shaq. But dude, you didn't make the list.
Sorry, big fella. Let's see. Number
5.
5. Pistol Pete Maravich.
Pistol Pete Maravich, greatest I don't know dribbler of all time.
He was ahead of his time as far as
He was Magic Johnson before Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yep. Yep.
All right, so number 6, we're gonna go with. Now this one I'm pretty excited about. I really like this because
So do
this
I.
is our only real old school player. We're going with the logo,
Jerry West.
Mr. Jerry West. The logo is gonna be number 6. Number 7.
Number 7. The Iceman. George Gervin.
Oh, George Gervin.
Maybe the most famous nickname. I
The
don't know.
Iceman?
Yeah, maybe not, but
Magic's got to be
real-
more famous.
Well,
than that.
yeah.
Air Jordan's more famous than Iceman.
Yeah, but not. I don't know if how many people called him Air Jordan. Like I feel like people just say the Iceman. They don't even have to say his name. And you
Because
just know
because
who
if
the
you say his
Iceman
name, he just sounds like a grumpy old dude that's telling you to get off his lawn.
is. George Gervin
George
does.
Gervin. Hey,
Yeah, maybe.
I'm George Gervin. How you doing?
Is that how George
but then,
Gervin
but
talks?
if you hear no, but that's how I picture the odd
a guy named George
the,
Gervin.
the grumpy old man next door named George Gervin. But if you're the Iceman, like that's ooh.
Cold-blooded.
I dropped that down. You gotta
Cold-blooded.
drop that down a notch.
Yeah,
you
you
know what I
do.
mean?
You gotta
That's
be
the
cool.
that's
you
the
gotta
ice
be
man.
cool about
That's
it.
the ice man. All right, so that takes us to number 8, which I got a feeling this is going to be and I don't even know how we're gonna like. There's no specifics on what the criteria are for you to vote on these. I guess it's just vote on the one you like. So this is probably going to win, but it's the 8 seed, Michael Jordan, Air Jordan.
Air.
Air. It's really just Air. The nickname is Air.
It's not even that good a nickname, honestly. It really isn't. But it's super duper famous, and
it's Michael Jordan, so he was making the list.
Yeah, you couldn't leave him off. Number 9. This is one that I wanted to put a lot higher than this.
You definitely did.
But you did not like it at all. So out of respect for you, I dropped him down to number 9, the Microwave. Vinnie Johnson. A Pistons guard from the bad boy teams. As a matter of fact, it's funny because Isaiah Thomas just the other night, like last night maybe, on NBA TV talked about Vinnie Johnson was the best guard on our team. He killed me in practice. He killed Joe Dumars in practice. Vinnie Johnson was awesome. When he came off the bench.
When they brought Vinnie Johnson in, that was the move that set them above. That's what
they traded him for Adrian Dantley. Yeah.
That was the move. That was the move that they say made the bad boys the better. Let's just say
better,
that,
right? Yeah, it didn't make them bad.
They were already
better.
They were already bad.
That was Bill Laimbeer's job.
Yep.
Anyway,
the worm.
So 9 is the Microwave.
So we have
two.
We have two nicknames from the bad boys on here. I mean, Dennis Rodman was on.
Right. Yeah, he was on the Bad Boys. Right, correct. I'm like, John Sally? Rick Mahorn? What were their nicknames?
What was Isaiah Thomas's nickname?
James Edwards?
What was
Zeke?
Isaiah Thomas's nickname was Zeke?
Yeah, yeah.
Terrible nickname. That's why he's not on here.
Yeah.
All right, number 10. Number 10 is one of my all-time favorite nicknames. I like this nickname a lot, and I'm probably going to pick this nickname in the first round as an upset. I'm saying that Gary Payton, the Glove.
That's very cool. It's a very cool nickname.
Phenomenal defender.
Yeah, from his prowess on defense. Great player and great nickname.
And great trash talker.
Great trash talker. Number 11. Speaking of the bad boys and possibly dirty players, number 11, the mailman, Karl Malone.
Karl Malone.
Huge jerk, just a jerk of a man, but really cool nickname and Hall of Famer, all-time great.
Unbelievable player, probably the biggest shoulders. He probably owned the largest shoulders until Dwight Howard got to the league.
Yeah.
Until Dwight Howard got there, this dude, Karl Malone was a monster.
He was famous for working out.
Yeah.
He was in such good shape, very muscular, could shoot the he had the mid-range jumper, and he would get to the basket. Of course, he played with the greatest point guard of all time. I don't want to hear any other words about that. He played with the greatest point guard of all time.
Did John Stockton have a nickname?
No.
Was it the mail truck?
No. John Stockton would never have a nickname. That's what's part of what makes him great. He never did the soul shake where you just hit fingers and wrap them up.
That's
the
soul shake?
It's whatever you want to call it. Whatever it is. The dap or whatever it's called.
The dap is when you jump on somebody, like you do that and then you tap on the back, right?
Oh, I don't know. Is it?
Isn't that what you got to get the shoulder in there?
I thought you just dap them up. Just one of these deals.
Dude, we need some young folk to tell us what
Tell
us exactly what a dap is, number one, and if I take my hands and clench them together, is that called a soul shake?
Whatever it's called.
Have you heard that somewhere before?
Or
did you just make that up?
I don't know. I think I might have made it up.
I hope that you just made that up because that is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
I don't know. It's just
soul shake. For now on, dude.
More soulful than
we do the soul
handshake?
shake. That's our handshake ends with the soul shake.
That's the soul shake. We'll just call our handshake the secret handshake that we've had for 20 years or whatever.
Will now be the soul shake.
Well, it could be called the soul shake.
There you go.
If you're watching on Facebook, I hope you enjoyed that. If not, you have no idea what we just did.
Nope. Anyway, so that takes us to number 12, which is probably the most phenomenal man on this list.
Boy, you go from one of the worst guys ever to the best guy ever.
David Robinson, the Admiral, is going to be number 12. Number 13
is an underrated player and a way overrated broadcaster, the round mound of rebound, Charles Montgomery
How can he be
Barkley.
overrated as a broadcaster?
I just made up his middle name as Montgomery.
Montgomery, I feel like
So overrated as a
probably
broadcaster,
from Montgomery,
just
Alabama.
because he calls people dumb and stupid and says that teams are terrible. That's why people love him, because he just says people are stupid and stuff on the air when nobody else really does that. That doesn't make you good at what you do.
Nobody said he's a good commentator.
He
He's
falls
funny.
asleep during the games. He doesn't watch them.
He's
he watches.
funny.
He watches Bones or whatever else is on TNT in the studio when Kenny Smith is actually watching games. He's not good at what he does. It's very entertaining, especially since
there you
Shaq's
go.
joined the thing.
Oh my gosh, those two
Those
together.
two going
Oh
back
my
and forth,
gosh.
hilarious, incredible TV.
Yeah.
As an analyst, he's garbage.
That's why he doesn't do games, though. He's not a TV analyst. He's an in-studio
He's an in-studio
entertainer.
analyst. He's supposed to be
He's
an
an
analyst.
entertainer. That's all he is. That's all he does.
Then you can only call him that, and you can't give him awards. You can't give him whatever Emmys or Grammys or Tonys or whatever.
You can give that man anything you want, and you will, because he's the round mound of rebound.
And our number 13 seed.
Number 14, I feel is entirely way too low on this list.
I feel shouldn't be on the list.
The King. Enough said. King James, Mr. LeBron.
Number 15, one that I know you're very excited about. Not going to be as recognizable a player. This is the guy that's not a Hall of Famer or will not be a Hall of Famer. But
We talked about him earlier.
all-time really good,
This is most
Nickname.
fitting nickname.
the Matrix.
To me, this is the most fitting nickname. This dude looked like the Matrix when he.
Sean Marion's nickname was the Matrix.
Yes.
The only thing, I don't know how or why he got that, but to me, it's the Matrix is a really odd, like sci-fi type of thing, and he was a very odd.
He was an odd cat, dude.
He was an odd-looking player. I don't know about him as a person or anything. but
he would have. Sometimes he had like blonde hair, and then sometimes he had regular hair, and then sometimes he shoot the ball like from all the way behind his head, on the side of his head.
no. He always
Under
shot
and
the ball
over.
underneath his chin. He never brought the ball like above his chin. I don't think it was so weird. What
Let
do
me
we?
get that. Let me get that charger from
What do
you.
we? Oh yeah. Go for it.
Flap it around there.
Sure.
So anyway, so that takes us to what, number 16?
Number 16, our very last seed, who will be playing in the, who will be competing. His nickname will be competing in the first round
Very first round.
against the number 1 seed, the Dream.
I feel like this is a really good. Like this is a great 16/1 seed. You're not a big fan.
This
you
is a
don't
landslide. This is a landslide.
You don't like this guy. You don't like him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you feel about. I feel like you don't like his nickname. I feel like you disrespect him. I feel like he's always been disrespected just because he doesn't like to practice all the time.
I like your accent there at the end. Number 16,
The answer,
the answer.
Allen Iverson.
Yes, sir.
I loved Allen Iverson the way he played. I don't know about the guy. Listen, I think a lot of professional athletes are probably not good people. Like you have to have a super ego. You have to be, constantly think you're great to make it to that level. And they're probably not a lot of good dudes. Allen Iverson, that's my dude, man. I like.
That's a lot of people's dudes.
I like Allen
I
Iverson.
feel like most people love him.
Always on the ground, hustled more than anybody. I mean, he was. I mean, he was also really small and probably just got knocked down a lot. But
Yeah. Yep. He was there's no question. I can't debate whether he was a great player. He's certainly a great player. He was, 1 or 2 in scoring for 8 years or something like that.
Yep.
He was he played hurt. He played really hard. I hated his attitude. I hated the culture around what he brought to the NBA. It was the hip hop culture, which is still there, and I'm fine with that. But it was the
thug.
it was the
thuggish.
thuggish kind of thing. He got in trouble several times. It was just the way he carried himself, the way I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the way his facial expressions, his complaining, I just didn't like watching the guy, the way he carried himself. That's it. Anyway, and he's going up against one of my top 5 favorite players of all time, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon. So that's really tough for me to even say.
I
this
know
is
who
gonna
you're
be a
voting
competition.
for.
But
I know who you're voting for.
but
We'll
look,
just put it that way.
if we're but look, vote just on how good the nickname is, though. I encourage everybody to do that. I'm going to try to do that myself. Try to get rid of whatever bias, whatever preconceived notions you have about these players as players. This is not the best player with a nickname. This is the
Obviously,
best
because
nickname.
King would be 1 and Air would be 2.
Oh, holy cow! And the Matrix would not be on this list
No,
for sure.
We definitely don't have time for that.
The only thing I don't like about this is knowing that as the weeks go on, we are going collectively to think and find so many other great nicknames
yes.
that we did not put on this list that
Well,
we're
right off
not
the bat,
thinking
I
of.
really like Muggsy. I feel like Muggsy Bogues was awesome.
Muggsy.
That's a
Spud.
great nickname. Spud Webb. I mean, Spud was great.
We talked about the Big Ticket, Birdman, the
Yep.
Big Dipper. One of my favorites that didn't make it, Never Nervous Purvis Ellison.
That's a great nickname.
Black Mamba, White Mamba, Muggsy, Spud.
Big O. The
You
Big
got
O
the
didn't
Big
make
O.
it, which is, once again, this is not about the best players.
It's about the best
nickname.
Thank you.
And literally, that is just his name is Oscar. So
By
the
the
Big
way-
O is just his name.
By the way,
What?
somebody who should be on here is the Greek Freak.
Oh,
The Greek Freak. Thanks, Alex. Another good contribution. My favorite player in the NBA right now. He and Russell Westbrook are my favorite players in the NBA right now, and Steph Curry, and about 10 or 12 other guys.
Don't
anyway-
act like you have a favorite player.
But anyway, my front runner for MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Greek Freak is an
Dude,
excellent nickname.
All right, so real
Excellent
quick, do we
nickname.
want to throw him in here? Do we want to take somebody out and put him in there?
Drop the answer by all means.
I say we drop the microwave, but whatever.
Oh, no way. He should be the 2 seed.
That's it. No, it's
All
not
right,
happening.
we're
Greek
staying.
Freak,
We're
we
staying.
love you.
That's
There's
that's
only-
a perfect example
There's
of
only
what's just gonna
one.
happen.
There's only one player on here that is playing currently in the NBA, and that is LeBron James. So in that case, I'm going to say that you have to be over 30 years old to be on this list. So sorry, Greek Freak, you didn't make it.
Over 30. You have to be over 23 years old to make this list. Ryan Saunders barely makes it.
Poor guy. Yeah, what's his? Is it Lil Flip? Lil Flip should have been on here.
Lil Flip.
Oh, Lil Flip should
All
have
right,
made
he's
it. for
honorable
sure.
mention.
Honorable mention, Lil Flip. Well, if that's the case, then we got to start talking about coaches in general. And you have, what was Phil Jackson, like the guru or something? What'd they call him?
The Zen Master.
The Zen Master.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm glad you're here because I don't know any nicknames. All right, so
Where are we at time-wise on here?
Oh, hour and 20 minutes. So we're about
Holy
done today.
smokes!
Yeah, we're about done today. We got some really funny stuff that we're going to go over. So we'll have the playoffs, NFL playoffs. We'll have the second round of the nicknames next week. Other than that, there's not going to be too much more going on. So we got some really funny stories. We're gonna do some anecdotes. You like
Anecdotes.
that word?
Let's preview it though. Let's
Okay.
get a little taste. Just say what it is. We're not going to talk about it this week because we're out of time. We're going
How
to talk about
this is what we'll do.
Go.
We'll say swipe left, swipe right, and we'll take each other. We'll let each other do swipe left, swipe right, and then we'll
Okay.
do it on the next show.
Okay, swipe left or swipe right. Sitting by yourself at a restaurant or a bar or whatever establishment, eating, drinking,
Going
whatever.
to a restaurant, sitting by yourself, eating by yourself. For years and years and years and years, I thought that was the weirdest thing in the entire world, and I would have swiped left. You never would have caught me dead by myself in a restaurant. Now I swipe right. I do it all the time.
You're a salesperson. You are on the road by yourself all the time. We're okay. I don't. We shouldn't get into
We'll get into
details.
that.
I'm
About you.
swipe left.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
swipe
know
left
you're
guy
swipe
because
left.
I'm the same as you were for years. I think it's odd. I've done it once. I've done it. I
One
think
time.
just one time. It's something I think I want to work on getting better at. I think I want to be a
Why?
swipe right.
Why do you want to swipe right to that? I feel like
Because
I
it
would.
shouldn't be a big deal. It shouldn't be weird.
Yeah, but then you just when you walk in, you're just that.
It feels weird. That's why it swiped left for me.
I know it does feel weird.
Okay, more on that next week.
More on that next
I
week.
have one very last thing for me, and then whatever else you have. My last thing tomorrow. This is Wednesday night. If you're watching live on Facebook, we thank you as always. On Thursday or whenever after you are listening to this podcast, on Thursday, January 10th, a very good friend of the show, very loyal listener, his birthday. Happy birthday, Steve Snodgrass.
Hey, happy birthday, STS Snod.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations, one of the very first loyal listeners we had on this. He was he listened to us before we were the Nosebleeds.
Yeah, you're right.
He listened to us before then. So
You're right.
we appreciate it. Happy birthday to you, Steve, and catch us every week. Wednesday nights, 10:30, live on Facebook. Otherwise, catch us Thursday morning or the rest of the week. You can get us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Apple Podcast, YouTube, CastBox, all your favorite platforms. Hit the like button, subscribe. Please do all that. Comment on what you think. We need a name for the studio. Put a comment in the comment section what you think we should call it. And you can catch Adam on Twitter at
Adam Schmidt 44.
I'm at Sick With It.
Don't forget to vote on the first round, the dream versus the answer, on our Facebook poll.
Best nicknames in the NBA.
Yes.
Don't forget to turn your headlights on.